Alex Mozed, and you're here on Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us, where we talk about the constant battle between large tech monopolies and traditional incumbents. And we're starting out with the traditional incumbent today. I'm joined by Nick Johnson, co-author with me on the book, Modern Monopolies. We spoke about Walmart yesterday, and they had a big beat on earnings. And we were talking about their marketplace growth, having added 10 million products in the past 9 months, 9.5 million of which came from third-party sellers. So only $500,000 actually came from Walmart buying inventory, holding it on their balance sheet, and then reselling it. Those are very impressive numbers. That's why they were able to beat once again on e-commerce growth, quarterly e-commerce growth, which has now happened for them multiple quarters in a row. Long term, we're very bullish on Walmart being the number 2 dominant marketplace behind Amazon. So we wanted to go a little bit deeper into some new materials that they published around their free 2-day delivery program for third-party sellers. And so clearly, as a part of that push, you saw it with Amazon, where Amazon's been making a big 1-day push. Walmart catching up, losing $1 billion a year in e-commerce, particularly for their investments in infrastructure. So you can see here where they're now providing a deeper dive on what it means if you are a seller to participate in their 2-day shipping program. So here they show by vertical. So home improvement goods having the biggest boost in basically what they say here, up to a 40% increase in GMV. So you're going to have a 40% higher likelihood of throughput of more purchasing if you can get it with free 2-day shipping. Sporting goods, video games. That's interesting. I don't know how many people are buying video games digitally. Toys. At the end is automotive. I don't really know why they would have put automotive on the chart. Electronics is kind of interesting that's towards the end here.
For automotive, is probably auto parts, if I had to guess. Not like they're shipping actual cars 2-day.
Yeah, I guess. You never know. I mean, you'd think, I don't know, auto parts would be a better name. I don't know. Anyway, interesting how they just break out like men's apparel versus women's apparel. And the different categories here. Outdoor. The nice thing about this is you can basically see what's resonating the most with their customer base. I wouldn't necessarily like home improvements. Very interesting, especially given yesterday's news that Home Depot had a pretty big miss on earnings. They dragged down the Dow a good amount. Meanwhile, this is by far their largest growth category is home improvement. So that it's pretty impressive to see. So basically here, if you do participate in 2-day shipping, you get a 36% chance of winning the buy box. So, right, all third-party sellers are competing for the buy box, which is
36% more likely.
Yes.
30%. So it improves your chance of winning the buy box in terms of how they weighted in their algorithm. Amazon does the same thing with Prime shipping, I believe.
What's really cool here is they break this down into different regions. So they have 140 different sub-regions. So if I'm a small business and I'm selling products on Walmart, that doesn't mean that I need to now be able to provide 2-day shipping coverage nationally if I'm based in California, if I'm based in New York or the middle of the country. So now you can go on and you can pick what region you want to agree to provide 2-day shipping. And basically you're going to see a bigger boost in sales and all these kinds of things. Let's go a level deeper into this. And you can actually, now this is actually their kind of FAQs on how to sign up and this kind of stuff. Here are so you can have 2 models to do 2-day shipping. Seller managed, where you are either, managing your own warehouse and managing your own fulfillment, or you're using another, fulfillment network. And basically you need to agree to have greater than 95% on-time shipping, delivery, tracking, so you can show that to the customer, and low cancellations, offer a generous return policy, have a minimum amount of participation, be a seller for 90 days, or have a minimum of 100 orders. Those actually aren't very high bars. If you need to do 100 orders or be a seller for 90 days. That's not an and statement.
Amazon has a similar program they call Seller Fulfilled Prime, and I believe the requirements for that are a little bit more stringent in terms of who can offer it. But it's the same idea where basically you can ship within 2 days, and we trust you can do it basically as good or close enough as good as Prime. that will let you put the little Prime sticker on your thing.
Yep. Now, that's the seller managed options. That's saying, hey, I'm going to take responsibility. I have, my own thing figured out, whether I do it myself or I have a partner, right? Now, here's what's interesting. If you don't have that, you can then use their delivery partner called Deliver with 2 R's. And now you don't need any of those minimum requirements because they have vetted out this partner called Deliver. So this seems like a pretty big deal. Walmart is basically saying that Walmart doesn't have like multiple delivery partners. They have one delivery partner called Deliver.
Right. It's a startup that basically does what I would call fulfillment by Amazon type service, but as a service. And I know Walmart had been trialing this kind of stuff for a while with Deliver, and then it's basically rolled this out nationally as a program. And yeah, rather than doing it themselves and basically having this be a service that sits on their balance sheet the way Amazon does it, they partnered with this company.
Yeah. Now let's look at this Deliver company. They've raised $30 million in funding. And you'd think, oh, well, I bet Walmart put money into Deliver if they're now kind of like the third party shipping option. You'd think that would make sense. That's not the case. They have 4 investors, 2 of which are institutional. The early one is actually 8VC. 8VC is a VC firm founded by a guy named Joe Lonsdale. Joe has started a Palantir with Peter Thiel. That's probably one of his biggest claims to fame, but a number of other businesses. The guy understands marketplaces very, very well. Clearly, so does Peter. And then you say, okay, well, I don't know. There's in my mind, there's got to be some kind of like preferred connection with Walmart. What's going on now? 8VC has senior advisors. One of the senior advisors is this guy, Chris Soltemeyer, who used to be EVP of logistics at Walmart. And so this guy has left Walmart and he was running all of their logistics and fulfillment stuff. So now this makes a lot more sense to me. You also have former chief commercial officer of UPS over here, but still this Walmart connection. I bet this guy helped really, not to say that Deliver doesn't have the expertise or doesn't deserve the business from Walmart, but I guarantee this guy, Chris, really helped thread the needle with Walmart, getting them into Walmart, navigating Walmart, figuring out how to set this up with Walmart.
Yeah, you got to get the introduction, then you got to earn the business, and I'm sure that relationship helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty interesting. More to come on that. And again, long term, very bullish on Walmart. So let's jump to this. Our friend Ben Thompson was talking about this interview in his email today. We're gonna play a minute or so of it. John Stankey was heading up Time Warner, the business that AT&T bought for $100 billion, which owns HBO and a number of other things. Now he's been promoted to COO, I think of like 8 of all AT&T. Anyway, he was in this interview with Recode. And what Ben quoted was a line where he said that they would let other content that AT&T doesn't own to be allowed to come into HBO Max's, streaming product. Not going to call it a platform because it's not a platform. And so that little quote loses the context. My mind was like, oh my God, finally, AT&T is going to let third-party user-generated content into the platform. This is going to be amazing. And, they're getting this fragmented supply, which they have a lot of leverage over, and this is really going to work. Well, when you watch the whole thing, what you find is that that's not the case. That's not what John was referring to. What he was referring to was to let other large media players,
right, like licensing other TV shows and that kind of stuff,
bundle their stuff in. Like maybe, I don't know if Comcast, he was talking about Comcast Xandr, but other large media companies could then put their products into or through HBO Max that I would assume you have to pay an incremental fee for, and all these kinds of things. So that's what he was talking about. I'll just play a little clip here and we can kind of dissect it a little bit.
Yes, we fully expect that once the AVOD environment goes up, that it's not just going to be our content and our avails and inventory that's in that environment. So we very much would love this platform over time to receive content from others as well as inventory from others to go with that content. That's where that value proposition comes back through Xandr. The way Xandr operates today, it continues to have firewalls that are set up internally, just like any other wholesale business would have, to ensure that it's done on a level playing field. Whether, I don't want to prognosticate on behalf of Comcast as to whether or not they'll be comfortable with that, but there certainly are others out there beyond Comcast who can bring inventory and content in that may find it to be an acceptable arrangement. Clearly, Comcast has been investing in an ad tech stack of their own. I expect they're going to continue to try to push that business forward. And that's why when we started and we talked about this being a foot race over the next couple of years to gain scale on a platform, it's one example of why I think it's so important.
So non-Warner media companies would be able to have their content, their shows or movies distributed within
Would
HBO.
fully expect that the platform at some point in time is a platform that we allow others to bring content into. I don't think, from my point of view, we're ever going to have a lock or a monopoly on creativity. And, you know, I think there's been a number of articles actually written the last couple of weeks about the frustration and the fragmentation of the bundle and what's going to happen. We're basically unbundling to rebundle. At some point, there will be platforms that reaggregate and rebundle. And we'd like the platform ultimately to be a place where reaggregation occurs. And that doesn't just mean our content.
There is a future where they look at all the content has now kind of been unbundled, where you used to get one cable subscription and you would have...
Now everyone has their own streaming service.
Now everyone has their own streaming service. That's the unbundling. And there's a future state where there is bundling again. The difference is that you're not bundling up the fragmented supply. You're bundling up the compartmentalized buckets from HBO or the 5 to 10 different media players.
I mean, Amazon already does this. You can subscribe to CBS All Access and those things. I don't think you can do Disney Plus yet, but they have other channel streaming services. You can subscribe through to Amazon to these other services. Right. I believe Apple wants to do the same thing with TV Plus and basically use that as like a beachhead to facilitate these other things. So that they're not alone in wanting to do this. I think the economics in that are tough because it's not really a platform model. It's like we have a few partnerships that we are channel partners and sell these things for these folks.
I mean, if that's the future of it, then the platforms, the true platform companies, basically Apple and Google, win that. You know, we haven't even seen really Google go that aggressively, but it comes down to like Apple Music versus Spotify, and Apple gets its 30% additional take rate because it has a cleaner user experience to let you buy digital content. And that's the play. And you're at a serious disadvantage. What you need to do is find that fragmented supply amongst the user generated providers. Right. You know, can you give me access to HBO type of content and let me create derivative content off of that? Can you let all these kind of like influencers on different content platforms co-create or give me content that I put through my pipes?
Some of these media personalities, actors, producers, others create a following on there, and maybe you've watched their big TV show, which is licensed, you know, or bought by HBO and shown through HBO Max, but then they have some kind of smaller project and they do that on their own and they want to showcase that too. There's a lot of different models in which you can do this, but you've got the relationship with the premium content. You've got the eyeballs and the users. It's really about using that in a slightly different way and embracing more kind of non-traditional TV type content in a way that gives you leverage, network effects, and better economics.
Yeah, and I'd say, and doing it within like 1 to 2 years, not 3 to 5. And you know, you need to do it now. Just like if you're a retailer, you need to have millions of additional SKUs now, not in 3 to 5 years. You've got to go get that fragmented supply ASAP, because otherwise the tech platform monopolies, that's what they do. That's literally what they do. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I was like potentially very excited from the snippet I read, and then I watched it and lost some of that excitement. Whatever. Okay. So next topic.
Also a content platform.
Also, yeah, I guess this is like my challenge with this is I haven't logged in. I have an account. This is Craig, the founder of Wikipedia. It's his alternative to Facebook, which is a paid social network. Kind of pricey, like $12 a month or $50 a year or something like that.
It's like $12 a month, which is it's like a New York Times subscription, right? Like,
yeah.
What am I getting for this money? I struggle with the value prop, but why don't we talk about a little bit what it is?
So I guess I could log in, but I don't know. Whatever. We'll just talk through it. It's kind of like social network meets like news and like article sharing platform, like maybe kind of like a Twitter
like
with
a
Reddit-ish. The interaction model is kind of interesting. I guess, it says here it's a news-focused social network. So they're, I guess, putting both of these things together. I guess it's kind of like a Twitter. I don't know. I don't think it's really figured out exactly its core transaction. I think it's launched. It's gotten a lot of buzz. I think they've got maybe 200,000 or 300,000 users.
The value they're trying to communicate is will help you not deal with fake news. We want quality news, and you can, I believe, edit the headlines if you think they're misleading. Like users can improve stuff. So there's kind of that wiki element to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the WT stands for Wiki Tribune, which is basically a past project that Craig had started that shut down. And this is basically the next iteration of that. It's interesting to see someone taking this on. I think it's not the first startup that's basically tried to charge for like better quality social network. None of the past ones have worked. I think it's getting some news now, but it's still relatively small. I think it's got like 150,000 users. I don't know. I struggle with this one to see. It's interesting to see someone taking this on, but I struggle to see what really that core transaction is and what the value prop is over not just a Facebook, but also like a Reddit. What is the value that they're bringing here, and how do you do that without, for example, just like being a news organization?
Yeah.
What's the platform play here? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you this: they were spamming me with like literally like I signed up and then I probably had 5 emails about different articles that somehow were magically in my feed that I cared 0% about. But it was like, go read these articles. I don't want to read these articles. So then I unsubscribed to all of the notifications about news. And so that I can tell you definitely backfired.
Good sign.
But yeah, they're pushing the news thing pretty hard. And then, you can kind of edit this and kind of like community-based editing of news articles with a social component on top of it. Interesting. I mean, I think the building, you can invite your friends, but
the thing that I'm curious about is what is the value they're adding that you need to pay $13 a month for? I mean,
it is pricey. I can get Disney Plus for $7 a month.
Right.
For free for a year.
I think their thing is we're not going to charge you like use ads to monetize, but okay, like what value are you bringing to me because the network isn't there yet. It's not like I have 1 billion people and I'm going on there and you're saying rather than ads, you can opt in as like a subscription. It's like,
it's gotten good press and I'll tell you this, the media hates Facebook. So, any alternative to Facebook is a good thing in their book. So, other platform shuttering news of the big bad platform monopoly getting shade from the competition. This would be Juno, I think probably just primarily New York based ride sharing company that had raised hundreds of millions of dollars.
Was acquired by Get.
Was acquired by Get for kind of like some acqui-hire, the company was losing a bunch of money, believed that it could make a case to be a third viable player against Uber and Lyft, which never made any sense to me. They're giving away boatload of discounts.
Right. I think they were losing at one point. It said like $1 million a day, which is not to say Uber and Lyft aren't losing money, but Uber and Lyft also have much bigger market share and with that much better economics. And there wasn't clear why there would be room for a third player in the market. What's the sign say behind Alex over here? Winner take all. I think this is one of those proof points where you see there are two dominant players in the market in the US. There wasn't room for a third. And eventually that's going to play out when the third player runs out of money and it just doesn't make sense anymore. We've seen this in other markets, and now we're seeing it in ride sharing. There's going to be a shakeout in each market, and there's only going to be one or two big winners.
Right. And now we're kind of seeing this. I mean, not kind of, but we're starting to see this in food delivery. And so what leaked today was that DoorDash has leaked they're considering a direct listing. I love this timeline from Modest Proposal. I can zoom in here. Basically what he's got is October 23rd, Postmates leaks they may do a direct listing. October 28th, remember we covered this, Grubhub's quarterly earnings. Grubhub says the industry is going straight to hell. November 9th, Bloomberg gets a leaked investor presentation that DoorDash wants to sell to Uber. November 19th, DoorDash leaks they are considering a direct listing. And then he has a nice summation here. I have no idea what the game theory here is, but you got 4 players, negative $1 billion in EBITDA, and a difference tolerance for losses. So as we were just talking about with Juno, Get, and then the consolidation on ride sharing, you're seeing the same thing happen on the food delivery,
space, right.
Which we've spoken about. We saw
there's Postmates also. There's
Postmates. We saw Caviar get clawed back out from Square.
Yeah, they got bought by DoorDash basically recently. So there's still, I don't know, 4 or so of these big players: DoorDash, Postmates, Grubhub,
and Uber Eats.
Probably about too many for the U.S. market.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see some consolidation, and it's a little bit of musical chairs of like, no, we're ahead, we're going to go public. No, you want to buy us. Some of this is going to shake out. Some consolidation is going to happen. I think you're going to see an acquisition or two happen at some point. I think it's a question of basically negotiating going on here, and folks trying to get the multiple that they want on that acquisition.
Guess who has the most leverage?
Uber.
Right. It's platform conglomerate, like textbook platform conglomerate situation. They've got the best access to capital. They've got the most scale, the most usage. They have the biggest ride share. Food delivery business in the U.S.
It doesn't surprise me that the news was DoorDash wants to be bought by Uber, and it would surprise me if it were the other way around.
Oh, absolutely.
If Uber were trying to sell Uber Eats to DoorDash, that would surprise me. But the DoorDash wants to get bought by Uber, I think that would be a good result for DoorDash.
And so actually, the flip story of this is that the fallout from investors having less of a tolerance for losses from the WeWork debacle, right, is actually helping Uber, I would say, because who is it putting pressure? It's putting pressure on the DoorDash and the Postmates.
Right, the companies that want to go public but are going to have even more red ink than Uber has in terms of these business models and less kind of upside.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna struggle, and they're gonna look for alternative options. And they've seen Uber struggle as a public company. They've seen Lyft struggles in terms of their valuations coming down.
Right.
They've seen WeWork get destroyed, and they're going to think, maybe an exit rather than trying to go public isn't a bad option.
Yeah, Uber's got over $10 billion in cash. They've got access to the capital markets. Postmates and DoorDash clearly do not. That's why you see them talking about direct listing, not IPO, because the presumption is no one wants to fund their IPO.
Or if they did, it might not go so well.
Right. And so they just want to try and get some more liquidity in the shares.
What's another way to get liquidity? Get acquired.
So, I'd say this is a win for Uber, and I think we're going to see that platform conglomerate scale turning into modern monopoly status. Win out, right? And the winner take all, the room for there are only 1 or 2 winners in the space. That thesis, tried and proven, continued to ring true in the food delivery marketplace space in the U.S. first, and then you'll probably see the shakeout in internationally in other areas that Uber has been playing as well. So, yeah, glad I tripled down when Uber just kept on getting destroyed in the stock market. So. Yeah. And Dara's prediction I wish I could go to this Dara launch next week. No, in 2 weeks. But I'm going to be out of town. Dara, CEO of Uber, when Kara Swisher in her sunglasses, grills the guy and says that your business sucks, it's unsustainable. What's your AWS? And he says, not only is Uber ride sharing my AWS, but so is Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Delivers it with complete conviction because the guy knows. And that was just like 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, maybe, that she was grilling him on this. And clearly, what the funny thing is, she's grilling him, telling him how bad his business is and how unsustainable it is. He's probably got DoorDash knocking at his door saying, hey, do you want to buy us? Hey, do you want to buy us?
He knows what's going to happen. He can see where this is headed, and there's not going to be room for 4 of these guys, and Uber's in a better position than most of the other 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was good poker face, Dara. Anyway, that's it for us today on Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you tomorrow.